SK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about all of the issues regarding the comic book industry. Now, I know there are a lot of issues regarding the comic book industry, and if you guys want to hear more of our discussion in this video talking about the comic industry, I do have a podcast called the Iron Man Podcast, which is streamed live on my Twitch and Rumble and X, which is formerly known as Twitter. So just go to the links in the description box below. There are hundreds of episodes of the Iron Man Podcast you can watch and listen to, where we talk about every single thing that we cover here on the channel, as well as going over comic book industry issues basically as they unfold to us live on any given day. But like I mentioned on the Iron Man Podcast, I want to do a pre-recorded video talking about a lot of these issues because, some of you guys don't really listen to podcasts, or you might not even know that I have one, and it might not just be your form of media you want to consume. That's fine. That way, we can just do videos like this sometimes talking about all of the issues in the industry. So like I've mentioned before, I've been thinking about doing this video for quite some time because there's just been so many things that I've had piled in my head as to the reason why the industry doesn't work. But I knew that I couldn't do this alone because I would just naturally, given the sheer amount of issues in the industry, forget something. So joining me here today to talk about all the issues regarding the comic book industry is Mr. Iron Oxide. What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Hey, man, doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Let's get going.
Yeah, so one of the biggest issues regarding the comic book industry is the pricing of the actual books itself. For a lot of you guys who don't know, there's a reason why people have Indiegogos or Kickstarters or whatever form of crowdfunding website to fund their books, because this stuff costs a lot of money. I honestly was so naive back in the day. I thought people just had an artist, had a writer, they just did some art, went to the printer, made a book, and they just started selling it. That is literally not how that works at all, to some degree, actually. That can work if you're in a more crowdfunding model. Now, ask you guys yourself, why would people be asking for these lump sums of money from their potential supporters, their inbuilt audience they have? Because, guys, making books costs a lot of money, specifically comic books, guys. Artists, pencilers, inkers, editors, letterers, there's just so many jobs to get this stuff done. Now, you can supplement these jobs with doing some of them yourself, which a lot of people do now to save costs on their books themselves. And you got to kind of ask yourself, if random buttfuck nobodies are asking for $5,000, $7,000 in some cases to, make their book, then what? And then they're obviously charging $20, $25 for some of these books, right? That they're going to end up getting potentially, hopefully fulfilled, and they send them to you. Why are Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Valiant, all these other comic book publishers, Boom Studios, you could throw that in there too, why are the books $5.99? You can't even make money off of that. So this was a main point I was thinking in my head all day. I was like, there's just no way fundamentally from, this is going to be an esports gamer term, everyone's going to know what this means, grassroots. People know what grassroots means in gamer term, right? It means going to your local, card shop or comic book shop and playing video games there, and you build a local scene out of that. Grassroots, you start from the bottom as plants, grow, and you kind of sprout out. So just from the core grassroots element of comics, you can't make money, right? You look at when a lot of these comics were booming, when they were actually booming in sales, not like now where they say that to be just disingenuous as fuck. Even when books were doing well for some people, they never got rich off them because you can't make money. You can't make any actual profit off of this stuff. I'm not talking about the stuff now with the new dumb social media woke activist people. No, none of that. I'm talking about the basic core economics of the books costing $5.99. Why do they cost $5.99? Artists alone will which is basically just tear that apart. Pencilers, inkers, the writers themselves, the editors, letters, all that stuff, right? You can't ever have made any significant amount of money doing this because the books themselves cost way too less. The books cost so much less that you would have to sell the volumes of what manga does for you to actually make money, for you to have royalty incentives that make actual sense for the writers and people involved to produce quality work consistently. people must keep in mind, Eric July did a video series called Making Money in Comics. There's a 2-part series. Hopefully there's more in the series. Even if you look at how Marvel and DC were formed back in the day, when Atlas Comics were Marvel and then, DC's angle with Detective Comics, right? The people that originally owned the companies, and not just point with Eric, I knew this stuff before, but I can finally say this stuff in a video. Even from back then, the people who owned it couldn't make money off of it. This was a time period where gas probably cost like 50 cents, guys. Because this is the problem. The books themselves cost so much money to make. They are priced at an unreasonable price where you can't make money off of them. So yeah, just from that point of view alone, you can't make money off of this. The highest selling book series of all time, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Chronicles of Narnia, Dracula, insert any werewolf books, fantasy books, romance novels, what? Those books don't cost $5. Go to Barnes & Nobles right now. Those books are still priced at where they're priced at years ago. $30, $25, $12.99, $15.99. And you kind of factor in people that aren't in the comic industry price their books at a reasonable rate where if they're writing them, they want to make some actual money. There's nothing wrong with making money in this. People who demonize that are stupid, broke, dog food eating, can selling retards, right? No, you need to make money off of this because if you, well, first of all, that's just from a business point of view. Why are you doing anything without making money attached to it? It's retarded, right? You need to make money. So just from the basis of that, you can't make money through this stuff. That's why a lot of the big name talent you guys know and love, like Jeff Johns, Mark Miller, people like Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison's kind of a weirdo, but people like him, other people you guys know and love. The reason why they don't do mainstream work, because it doesn't pay enough, because the books don't sell enough. So you guys see the cycle there? You can't attract big name talent because Marvel and DC aren't paying the top dollar, right? So they know the books would have to sell in hundreds of thousands of units potentially for them to actually make any money off of that, and it's just not worth it. Comic books need to be charging more. There's a reason why you see like indie comic creators, or you have Eric himself or other people you see in the indie space. The books are not priced at $5 because people realize that's a stupid price point. You can't make any money off doing that. Try and feed a bunch of people's families off $5.99 on a book. That's not going to happen. It's just not. Now, people are going to be like, but don't Marvel and DC print their books for that? No. So, since most of our shit is outsourced in China, they get a lot of their stuff, obviously, from China, as we all do. They print so much that they're hoping that they can sell all of this. But it's not really that they sell this stuff. They make it, the distributor grabs it, and then the comic book store owner buys it, right? The sheer amount that the comic book store would have to sell is so astronomically big. So let's say out of a 30,000 unit order, you would have to sell probably like 25,000 of those consistently with each one of them to make any actual money off of that. This is where books are priced at $5.99 if you're someone in a store based off like bills they have to pay in a store. They're probably making like $2 off that book. And people are going to say, but I used to buy my comic books at $5. Yes, that's a bad thing. It was bad that they were costing $5. It's awesome you got a chance to buy those legacy issues at $5. And I'm not saying that was the wrong model for that time period, but over the course of all these many years, these books should have always been charging more. And if people say, "Oh, I wasn't going to buy when it cost more," yes, you were. You were buying at $5 since people kept saying the books were so good. You would have bought them for more. That's a stupid thing. You were going to pay more for them. We were all going to pay more for them because we like this stuff. The price to it doesn't matter. The price only matters if you're trying to make money off of this, which you cannot do given their low price points. Manga is priced at $10.99. With tax, it is like $12.29. People that don't even live in the state know that you should price your books at an affordable rate. People that don't even live here, who will never live here, who sell it to us, go, you know what? I'm making for all this much money. All right, price margin is I make this book for $7. I need to sell it for more than that. Pretty simple concept there. So that's the main thing I want to bring up is even from the beginning of how Compass even started, you couldn't make money off of it because the books themselves are priced too low. They're just priced too low. This is how it works. Now, if they want to make any money past that, there's going to be other things involved. But I want to bring that up as the main point specifically because you would see the reason why big name talent aren't attracted to coming here because they can't make any actual money doing this stuff. I had Mike Barron on my show. If you guys want to show my Iron Man podcast episode, I had Mike Barron on. Mike Barron, everyone knows who that is. Everyone knows who Mike Baron is. He had to become a janitor. He was a janitor at a point. He was an insurance salesman. There's nothing wrong with any of these jobs, right? Someone as legendary as him for his name, you think like this guy was making some hard-earned dough. You know, people like in the book scene, like J.K. Rowling and obviously J.R. Tolkien in the past and all these other famous people, when you look at them, they created this big giant IP. They make a lot of money through it. Obviously, Tolkien is dead, but you guys see what I'm trying to say here. When you think of people like that, I think they make a lot of money. The comic book industry is not like that, okay? There's very few people that can make money through this stuff. Very few, i.e. Mark Miller, who's been on Twitter recently calling these people cancel picks, which I absolutely love. There's more money in making your own shit than doing stuff for them, actually. But I'll have Iron Oxide go next about what is his other main point for the comic industry that is obviously doing very bad things for it.
Well, you brought up a lot of good points, and I definitely need to check out Eric's videos on the subject. I haven't had a chance to yet. But, I mean, there's a reason why Bill Finger, Jack Kirby, so many others passed away near complete bankruptcy or broke.
Yeah.
In case, Bill Finger's case, completely homeless, living in a hotel. And that is the exact reason. The company doesn't make money off of the book sales. They're making money off the merchandising. The fact. Cartoons, toys, t-shirts, lunchboxes, all of that. Do the artists see any of that? No. Unless they have a very good contract, which most of them do not. Now, as far as today's artists are concerned, and today's writers, the modern ones, you know, I hope they all starve to death on ramen noodles.
Especially Max Visaggio.
Exactly.
That dude was on a girl. Yeah, Max Visaggio is garbage, and any company hiring that freak, no units are selling. Store owners are gonna see that and go, man, okay, this is not what I'm ordering this month because I know that's gonna make like $1. Okay, so now, another big issue, the reason why the industry can't really ever function is because of the way that people at Marvel and DC think. So this is something that is talked about through many documentaries, actually, where if you make something for them, they think that's theirs. So let's say if I create a brand new character for, let's use Marvel, for example, here. That is not my character. They're like, you know, I made that character. I hired you. You made that for my company. That's mine. It took people like, I forget his name, Steve Ditko or whoever, to go to these companies and the other person for DC to go and be like, hey, no, if you treat our talent good and you pay them a livable wage off the amount of books that they've been selling for the company, they'll want to constantly create more for you. It's not what these guys think. They think that if you just work for them, whatever you make is theirs. Now, that is true. They own the character. That is 100% their right to do. But the problem here with that in theory mindset when they think like that is that makes the person working for you feel like complete shit, that you don't care about them whatsoever. The fact they made you potentially millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially throughout the years, that you just think of them like they're just some fucking piece of shit. They're not going to want to work for you anymore. So it took people actually going, you know what? No, if you treat these guys right, just hear me out. Treating your workers right, they'll want to make more for you. They'll want to naturally want to do it for you. That's bringing up just price point and how the companies think about the people specifically. We know this because I've had people like this on my shows. I've had people on my shows tell me these exact things. These people think they're like, they've invented comic. Marvel and DC have made comics event, you know, by the way that they're talking to people. You know, they're like, oh, that Spider-Man run I know did very, very well. Insert say no one ever since like the year fucking 2000s, right? I know that did very well. That's really I really created that. That's my character, actually.
No.
Just with that mindset alone, you can't win. There's nothing, you would have to fix that. Just that. The books cost way much less than what they should be priced at. It's just how people think about the talent now. Remember, this was happening all the way back in the day. You would just kind of hear about it buried in like magazine interviews and shit like that. You know?
Yeah.
Then
had good talent.
Just think about it this way. Since the books are the ones where this all started from, the actual comic books, where Superman appears in a comic book first, from Action Comics, issue number 1 by Jerry Siegel and Joel Schumacher, right?
No, not Joel Schumacher.
Was it Joel Schumacher? Jeez, oh my goodness, my brain is fried.
That's Batman Forever and the Lost Boys, bud. Oh, and the unforgettable classic Batman and Robin. No, now you made me forget. How do you make me forget who created Superman? I just mentioned Bill Finger, and now that's all I can think about. But let's please continue. It's still good. Keep going.
For Joel Schuster, actually.
There we
Good
go.
Lord. Good Lord. I found it. I remember this stuff, guys. I'm not a hack like Zack Snyder. So just from that alone, you have just those core issues. Then the other third issue is comic books are generally geared towards just obviously dudes, right? They're geared towards dudes. The problem is comic books never had specific things that other famous media have. You know, when you look at, I don't know, let's say a movie comes out and you're thinking like, oh, this book based off this movie probably did very well, because that's what a normie generally thinks. For comic books, guys, any like common known narrative throughout other media, which would be the standard for how people generally think, which would mostly pan out to be true, give or take some intricacies of how different things work here and there. It doesn't work that way here. People actually don't care about the books as much as they say they do. Now, that could go in many different directions, right? So let's look at a popular character named Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, right? Everybody, I'm going to say 99.99% of people know Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, from that animated series. Ain't nobody pretty much on this earth, because that's a business, we got to be planning here. Very few people read Batman Beyond comic books. Very few people read Static Shock comic books. Even for some of those popular Justice League characters out there, people don't read the books. I've never understood why that's been the case. Well, you got to factor in to a certain extent for very few people like myself. I grew up in a poor town. There's no comic book shops here. People sometimes even discover comic books through spinner racks at liquor stores when they're kids, right? So the accessibility of comic books has always been pretty hard to get to, even just from back then standards, right? So you got to kind of think to yourself, even with really popular characters, why do you know them? You don't really know them based off comic books. You know them from animated TV series, animated movies, live action TV shows, live action movies. That's where you know them from. Video games in some cases, right? Or you see a character on a poster or a lunch pail or a backpack, whatever. Toys. It feels like even if comic books were the main source of everything starting, they're like always the very last thing people think about. I don't know why that's been the case for many years.
Yeah, that wasn't always the case. That definitely is now. You go back maybe even 25 years ago, the comic books were the gateway to these characters. But now you're exactly right. Now the cartoons primarily, then the movies and everything else, video games, everything you mentioned, will lead people to, okay, I want to know more about this character. And then they go to their comic shop.
And then that goes to another problem, synergy. You know how you guys go and watch like these MCU movies or these DCEU movies? Let's just use Flashpoint. Let's just use Flash, for example. That whatever that is trying to be a Flashpoint is so wrong. I couldn't even be here hours telling you every detail why it's bad. Now, people keep, so I'll tackle this one point, then I'll go back to what I was saying. I don't want to go on a tangent too much here. People keep saying, you can't do a one-on-one adaptation. Anime sure does it. Why can't anime do it? Anime does it. Anime does it all the time. There's very few differences, like pieces in dialogue, and maybe like a scene gets changed here and there. But for the most part, it's about 98% accurate. I never understood this mindset of like, you can't translate what's on the book to screen. Why can't you? There are things that are transferable that are true, but those are like very few, far in between things, actually. It's not like you can't do it. They just don't want to do it because even the creators, the people at the top, the executives themselves, they don't value the comic books in that realm. They don't value them as some sort of valuable medium. Now, I'll go back to the other thing I was saying, what you mentioned, which is synergy. The biggest issue with this, probably arguably number one in most people's cases, and I'll help you guys out here with this. I know a lot of you guys think this. When you go and watch some of these movies, the books do not the actual movie product you get does not represent what happened in that book. So you go and read the book, you're like, okay, I like that movie. I'm gonna go see where it's based off of. Okay, cool. Oh my god, this is so fucking good. Why didn't I see that on screen? See the point? See how that's been the case ever since like fucking Superman 78 came out. before I was even alive as a human being, you know? Like, this has been a thing ever since this has started. Ever since it started, this happened, okay? Now, just look at the recent examples, like I mentioned Flash. You go watch Flash, you're like, oh, that's based off Flashpoint. I kind of know that story. I really love that animated movie. That movie's actually fucking amazing. That movie's spot on, just chef's kiss, so good. You go and watch that movie, you're about to go, what the fuck is this? This is some trash. Then that's where anime has it. Since manga and anime are interconnected, one sells the other, and you obviously have vice versa with that, there's constant synergy. Let's say we ever have kids. Let's just say we do. And they like, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z. And let's say they watch Dragon Ball Z. And they go, Dad, I want to know more about Goku. Is there anywhere I can find out more about Goku? Oh, here, honey. Here's Dragon Ball 1. Dragon Ball Volume 1. There you go. You can start there. But I like Dragon Ball Z. I got you. Here's Dragon Ball Z Volume 1. There you go, honey. And then when the kid reads it, he's going to go, wait a minute, that's the same Goku. There's no, like, overlap. There's not 20 different versions of Goku in Dragon Ball Z Volume 1, which will lead later on, obviously, to Saiyan arc, Frieza, Cell, Buu arc, right? When you go watch some of these movies, like you mentioned before, the Batman you see on screen is not the Batman in most books. Now, given Batman's existed and Superman have existed for many years, sure, that's going to be the case. And there's obviously great interpretations of them, but that's a problem, guys. There needs to be one single focus. There needs to be. And I get it. Having all this variety has been great. To a certain extent, it's been really bad. It's been really good. But the synergy issue is a very big problem. The fact that you'll go and watch, let's say I know a lot of you guys like the Robert Pattinson Batman movie that came out. That's cool. That's awesome. You go and reading those, I don't know if you can even pinpoint where all those books were at. That Batman on screen that doesn't act like any of the Batmans that you've been reading, there's just no core synergy with that. Yeah, that movie's kind of based off Batman Year One. It's kind of based off Batman Year One because he's just in Year Two. It's really just based off year numbers alone. It's not the actual content of the book. You go read Batman Year One, you're gonna go, that's fucking amazing. I wonder if the Batman movie translated all these great themes and plot elements to that movie. No, it didn't. It didn't actually. It just kind of just called Batman Year One influence. That's an influence. It's not based on anything. And that's a problem with comic book movie advertising, and why the industry suffers through a lot of other reasons, is the actual line to people. When you go watch one of the movies based off one of the books, they say it's based on. No. That shit is inspired by. That's not based on those books, because the story and the characters are totally different. Now, you can have rare instances where that works. You don't. That's the problem also with this stuff when the industry between movies and TVs. Guys, rare instances are not norm things, okay? They should not be norm things because that's what makes them interesting, is because they're rare. Now, manga and anime synergy, you have that where you have the same character I'm seeing right here, the same character I'm seeing in these books. Yeah, the character's gonna grow and the character's gonna change. That's awesome, but it's gonna be, for the most part, that's that one version of character. How many versions of Superman exist? Wonder Woman, Flash, Iron Man, Wolverine. I don't know. There's many that exist. You couldn't pinpoint synergy even if you tried, actually. So, any other big problems with the industry you want to bring up? Now you get into more like social media territory with like activists, obviously. I know you hate those people.
I want to talk about the synergy thing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You brought up a lot of really good points, and I agree with all of them, actually. But one thing is going to the more modern era, and that's where the critique really has to come in. Because I mean, yeah, we can call out the inconsistencies with the Donner Superman, which was still fucking great.
Yeah.
Or Burton's Batman, which was really not even a Batman movie. It was a Tim Burton movie, but it's still iconic. Now, here's the difference between these. When a kid back in 1978 or 1989 went into a comic book store because they were interested in Superman and Batman, they would actually get stories at least about Superman, Clark Kent, and Batman, Bruce Wayne. When we go into the more modern era, it gets a lot more murky. That's when you go see, when did all new, all different Avengers premiere in the comic books? The same year as the first Avengers film or the second one?
Yeah.
Somewhere
it was about 2010s, I think is when it started. Yeah.
When the MCU really skyrocketed, that's when they decided to shelve all of their iconic characters that are currently in the movies. So
Mhm.
kid goes to get a comic book that reflected the Steve Rogers played by Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark. They're not going to find that. They're going to find something all new and all different. And unless they're smart enough,
Yeah.
which I'm sorry, a new comic book fan, unless they have a parent that is also already a reader and knows how to direct them to the back issue section, which is the only section to go to in your comic book store anymore, they wouldn't know what to find on the shelf that reflects anything they just watched on screen. So
Right.
exact zero
Th-
synergy. Fuck
Then
me
there's
in
the
it.
other thing that I'm glad you brought that up before you go to the other thing, which is that was probably the biggest missed opportunity for Marvel and DC at that time period, where I guess not as much as the DCEU because they really arguably never got off the ground for the most part. But for the MCU, they had one shot to make synergy between the comic books and the movies. You couldn't have even been given a bigger layup than that. And they just didn't do it.
They deliberately chose not to.
Yeah, and this is the thing you brought up earlier, which is if you like the MCU movies at the time and you went and saw the books, these people were already getting infested in the industry even when the MCU was rising to power, right? So you go and watch like the Avengers, you're like, God damn it, I can't get more of Robert Downey Jr.'s dick down my throat. I'm pretty sure there's some Iron Man books that are probably some of the greatest stories ever told about Iron Man, which is true. You have to go back and look for them, but they are really good. You find them like Demon in a Bottle, like Stremis, all those things, right?
Original
but if
Iron
you're, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Tales of Suspense, #1, first appearance, actually. You guys think I got the knowledge up here, don't you guys? So you go and watch these movies, you're like, man, these books probably represent what I saw in those movies. Not even close, not even spark of closeness. Also, fun fact, there was 2 universes at the time. You get the Ultimate Universe and you also the regular one. You didn't even know which version of the character you were reading. That goes to show you another core issue just right there, which is they had one of the biggest time periods, best time frames, best times to make money, because people always say the books don't make any money, which is true. But this reason why we said this is a chance of a lifetime. At that moment, when Avengers 2012 came out, guys, we're talking about a movie that you just had to have been there. This movie hit on levels you guys just won't understand. There's no possible reality I can conceive in my brain where books based off those guys don't sell. You could just reboot Iron Man entirely to make this is Iron Man RDJ, issue #1 after the smash blockbuster at the Avengers.
That is a brilliant point, because a lot of comic book companies, when they were smart and they cared about making a profit, would make a tie-in comic book.
Yeah, it's always existed. Yeah,
of films or movies or TV shows. The Arrowverse comics sold very well. Then you have one of the best-selling, Batman the animated series, the Batman Adventures. That's something I'm still following, doing very well. And they didn't do that. Not only did they not do that, they took out all of these characters that were just in the highest grossing comic book movie at the time and shelved them so no one would see these characters on the new release shelf if they walked into a comic book store, or if you're in an area that actually sells them in grocery stores, if they even fucking do that anymore. You wouldn't see them there. You would see totally different characters. Oh, I'm interested in Thor now. I'm a 9-year-old kid and Thor's my jam. I want Thor. And it's a chick.
There's that one run where even on the hardcover, it's Jane Foster's Thor. Now, if anyone who's watched this, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a point where they tried to do that and it didn't hit very well, but they really pushed it around the Civil War II, where it's Iron Man versus Captain Marvel. Now, another thing that has ruined the industry, this is the point everyone's going to want to talk about, so let's bring it up right now, is the blue-haired weirdos that they've hired, actually. Now, to be fair, I feel like, based on what we mentioned earlier, I've kind of thought about this before, they were already getting invested into. It was probably just so little, it just didn't have that much impact. But then when you saw the all-new, all-different Marvel, that's when it's like, I don't know, this is getting really bad. And then as we got more years, like the 2015s, 2016s, it got really bad. I'm just going to say this right now. These people don't read books. They don't. This is the problem. These people that they hire don't read the books. They don't like the characters, and they keep putting in the self-insert, insufferably badly written characters spread through all these titles now, to the point where the average person who even liked this stuff and probably kept buying books for many years was like, you know what, this is trash. I'm going to go crowdfund a book, help my favorite creator out, because I don't want to sit here and pay a whole bunch of money for some self-insert, insufferable propaganda spewing nonsense. Now, it puts out here. I guys understand, not every company's doing this. I understand that. But the problem you guys don't even get is something I need to bring up to you guys, because this is how things in life works. Things are so systemically bad here. If you don't break down one specific thing into many things, people aren't going to get it. Marvel and DC dominate the conversation most of the time. So if they are not producing good stuff, it doesn't matter what Image or Dark Horse or Valiant are producing. It doesn't matter, or IDW. It doesn't matter. They drive the sales. They normally drive all the sales and the conversation. So when they do something bad, it gets really bad, right? So if it's only bad, people are going to only focus on the bad because the big two are the ones doing the most bad. You guys see how that works? So it doesn't matter what the other smaller guys are doing. If Marvel and DC were doing good, there was that whole saying, rising tides and all that stuff, right? It would work out, but they don't. That's the it. Now, these people that they've hired are nothing but a bunch of degenerate, certain flag in the pronouns and bio freaks. Nothing but a bunch of freaks who don't know anything about these characters. They are more concerned with what that one shop owner mentioned, and I'll do another video about that later on. All they care about is putting, like, what would I do as Captain America? None of us give a fuck about what you would do as Captain America. What is Steve Rogers going to do? What is Steve Rogers going to do? What is Tony Stark going to do? What is Thor Odin's son going to do? What is Bruce Wayne going to do? Not what you do as the character. You see the difference there, people? That's the one difference that I just brought up there versus what I brought up before. That's the key thing. These people do not know how to write. The storytelling is bad. The dialogue stinks. The pacing sucks. These books are trash. Let's be honest with you. These books aren't good. They keep hiring these people. And that's when we brought up the systemic issue a while ago. They have to hire these people, not just for social justice brownie points, which they claim they're virtuous and they're virtue signaling. They have to hire them because the big talent don't want to work there because they don't get paid. You see what's with a big death spiral this has been for so long?
Talent. They push them out, and they continue to do so. They're living on borrowed time. If you're still there, you have to either assimilate or leave. And those are the only options that they give you, because it is like a cancer. And I'm going to use nicer words than you just used, but I will just call them.
Gabe, I'll tell you for a second, for a guy who works for the Ripperverse now. He mentioned yesterday on his episode he did with Eric July with Dean Cain, he mentioned this before, that he had to feel like he had to constantly create, as what he says, woke crap, because obviously he lives in a place in the world where it's really expensive. So if you quit your job, how are you going to make ends meet and all that stuff? That's another big issue too with what you said. They are the people that are there that don't even absolve any of that garbage. They can't say how they feel because they get kicked out. They're labeled as some instaphobe, bigot, Nazi, all this, blah, 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 right? Did we not just have Tim Sheridan go on video and mention that they still have to prove there's authentic storytelling based around lettuce, bacon, tomato people? In 2023, you have to prove that.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening to this, please understand what I'm going to say.
Well, into the closet. They have to hide.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening, please understand what I just mentioned there. They still have to prove this stuff is worthful now. I thought this was profitable. I thought books have never been doing better than ever before. They're not. It's always the smoke and mirrors thing. It's always a lie. Marvel and DC have been pretending to be virtuous. You guys take the bait every single time because all you do, anyone brings up anything regarding the industry, all you guys do is lick the boots of these companies, acting like as if like they're your dads or your mothers or something. You got to lick their boots every time. Man, I need to show Marvel and DC overlords that I'm virtuous and I love gay people. I don't even once said I didn't like gay people at all. What I said specifically is gay stuff in books do not sell. I never said I didn't like gay people or whatever, right? Never said that. What I said specifically is it doesn't sell. I'm not buying it, and I know you're not either. So stop virtue signaling. I hate when people do that, dude. It's the most insufferable thing ever. You're not going to buy it. I know I'm not buying that dog shit, but I know this. You going out there and virtue signaling how much you love it doesn't doesn't equal sales.
No, it doesn't. And I think pandering. South Park nailed it with their last special. It is just blatant, soulless pandering, and it doesn't mean anything. And it
I can't
doesn't.
believe how much you idiots are on social media always going after people who will blatantly just tell you the issue. People are always going to go, there's so much non-transparency, there's so much vagueness. I don't understand what's going on because I'm a naive, stupid fuck. Anyone brings it up, you always bigot. It isn't like diversity, it isn't like wokeness. Oh, okay, so let's break down those things. First of all, you don't buy books.
Comics.
First of all, all you guys talking on Twitter how much you buy books, you don't. None of you buy books. I don't believe for a second you do. I don't believe it. I don't care how much you say you blah, 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 blah. You don't buy the books. Stop saying you do. I know you're lying. It's cool. I get on social media. It's cool to lie about your life because you make yourself feel like you're important, but you're not. You don't have any money. You're broke. You're at college. You got to pay all this tuition to your propaganda-filled university in college. So, and just by that alone, you're not going to have money for books. Just that alone, right? Okay, so you don't buy books, okay? So why should your opinion matter? No, I'm being honest. Why should your opinion matter? You don't buy anything. You don't buy anything. Why should your opinion matter? All you guys have these big, really thoughtful opinions, right? You have these big, thoughtful opinions about the comic book characters, right? But you sure won't spend your hard-earned money on it.
Their biggest indicators are their lowest profitable customer margin. They do not contribute at all. They can go on all day about how much they love everything they're doing and they're advocating for it. But when it comes down to it, and these are the fucking people that'll tell me because I criticize DC that I'm not a real DC fan because I think everything that they're
these
doing,
people will tell you you're not a real fan, yet they own no DVDs, they don't own any books, they don't go watch the movies, they don't actually even do the basic normie stuff that you expect out of these people. So you see the problems of the industry, guys. It starts from a grassroots issue all the way to how they treat their talent versus how they have hired these like social leftist activist people where all they're doing is just virtuing and they're being
Marxist.
All they're doing is basically virtue signaling how much they love this stuff while actually not spending. It blows my mind how someone has such a strong opinion about this stuff, yet they'll spend no money on this stuff. They'll even tell some dumb fuck like Tim Sheridan, I'll buy your Alan Scott trash gay book no one's gonna read, but I like it. Gonna put on your pull list? Yeah, my wife, she fucked my wife. Yeah, my wife, she fucked my brother. I saw his cock. I saw him blow inside of her. She took all my money. She took the dogs. Yeah, I can't afford your book this month. Didn't I just see you at Walmart buying a whole bunch of shit? Yeah, but, you see the point here, people? You see what I'm trying to bring up? Stop listening to these weirdos on Twitter with these certain flags in their bio and their pronouns in their bio, these degenerate weirdos. They don't buy books. They don't like this stuff. They just want to feel like they're a cool kid, a part of this stuff. These people have probably never liked this stuff. They probably picked on kids in their younger years who like this stuff anyway. Why are we catering to such losers like that?
I gotta pick on that last comment because that analogy is perfect because growing up when I did, I'm a good decade older.
Ancient.
So, back in my day when I was the kid going to the comic book store and everything else, it was the jocks and the popular and all that. You were always kind of ridiculed for your interest, for your fandom and everything else, and that was our escapism. We had our own clique and that was our thing. And it's like, and I hate this word, but I got to just go ahead and use it. The bullies have taken over the industry. Like, oh no, I'm a Marvel now, bro. I love the Marvel stuff. Isn't Incredible Hulk a Marvel? And now they've also, the same group of people have picked up on the kind of PC principles. A great example of this, have picked up on these social causes and making a difference. They don't really care about this stuff. They have no passion. The days of when a 14-year-old kid could start writing his stories and sending them to the Marvel editors and eventually get fucking hired based on that are long gone. They're hiring writers based on whatever their thesis was on some sort of social issue. That's it. There's zero passion for it. And the same people that actually hate and despise their actual real clients. And their real customers, want to replace them with this imaginary customer base. It doesn't
imaginary audience we keep hearing about. It's like, no, they've still been here.
There.
They keep wondering what's happened to their favorite comic book companies when producing good stories. This is it's a sports saying people have. When a big team is gonna obviously play a big match and they choke, people always go, when does that team show up? No, when does Marvel and DC show up? When do they show up? Because even on social media now, I mean, we literally just had earlier this year the main DC Twitter account. When I lost my main Twitter account, didn't they just call people bigots? I'm pretty sure that main DC official account called people bigots. It was the post based around the Authority, actually, right? Then another thing to bring up with a lot of these people is the only thing they'll talk about is the sexuality of their characters. So I'm gonna say, I don't want to say the basic same thing that everyone's always been saying because we already know it. We've broken it down constantly. Okay, so people understand me here. These guys, when you talk to some of them, all they can talk about is a disingenuous starting point in their conversation. So number one being this other guy, just yesterday on Mark Miller's post, he was like, but gay and these kind of characters are, anytime it's announced, always get attacked. No. That reason why it's automatically disingenuous. These characters aren't getting attacked just based off if they're gay. It's not true at all. That's just factually not true. And even if it was under any other sexual orientation, right? It's attacked. I'm not saying it's not attacked. It's attacked because it's never done good. It's never done good at all. It's always done where the sexuality preface of the character is their personality.
That's it.
It's never done in any good fashion ever. And I still find it funny that people know that, don't buy the books, but have so much of a bigger opinion on it. It's crazy, right? So that's the thing. It gets attacked because we know it's going to be lazy. We know it's going to be some insert garbage. People do not like their favorite characters race and gender swapped. They just don't. And the other thing to bring up is I love people so much because they always just make my brain explode. People automatically start talking from a disingenuous standpoint because they want to carefully paint their question to see who's the Nazi or the fucking sympathizer of whatever, or the bigot phobe or something like that. Do you guys really think that all these characters just get attacked because they're just doing... Okay, imagine this. A character getting announced and getting attacked for doing good. That makes no sense, right? No, it's attacked because there are people that see through bullshit. A lot of you guys don't see through bullshit. A lot of you guys just take stuff at face value. Start thinking a little bit deeper. It's always done bad. No one can ever point out to an example that's good because they don't exist. That's the point. It's never done good. And we know this because no one buys the products.
No, an interesting, intriguing gay character has not been created in 25 years in the comic books. Not in the mainstream comics, anyway. And I mean, that's another clear example that they really do not follow this stuff, because if they did, they would know that these stories are just bad.
That's the thing. And the last two things I'll bring up before we head a video, we'll just do a part 2 to this, actually, to cover some more things. First thing, since this stuff is geared towards dudes, men with big long hot dogs, right? 2 genders, right? There's only 2 of them, okay? So in my superhero action comics, I highly doubt a woman is going to write that very well. I just highly doubt it. Women really aren't interested in this stuff. There are women that like it. There always has been, but never on the sheer amount as men. Ever. It's never been that. It's probably like a 95-5 ratio for being real generous there. Might be 97-3. Who knows, right?
And the women that did liked it the way it was.
Right.
They liked characters for who and what they were and how they were portrayed in the books, how they were drawn.
Now pick up on a key thing that I just said there. I didn't say women can't write superhero fantasy or any of that fashion. Some of the famous animes you guys know and love are written by women. Voice acting by women. I mean, Inuyasha, my favorite anime ever made, is written by a woman. Fucking Fullmetal Alchemist. You guys know that? It's created by a woman. It's not saying women can't do this stuff. The problem here is when it comes to this specifically from this part of the world, these women never liked this stuff. They've never bought it. They've never consumed it. They're just virtue signaling weirdos who can't write superhero action comic book characters because it's not something that they're interested in.
They do not like it. They despise it. They despise the people that do like it. And their entire purpose is injecting it with their own ideology to change the way it is. If I can make it reflect myself because I'm a narcissist and I'm breaking an invisible glass ceiling that never fucking existed because women have been in the comic book industry for decades.
Use another example, which is we'll use a base example, the MCU, and you guys like that. Eternals. Chloe Zhao directed the Eternals. Why?
She was cast. Nerdrotic
Marvel Cinematic Universe is a superhero action franchise. Man, can't wait to hire my female director who's directed like fuck all who knows what. That's the thing. As just mentioned, there was synergy and how they try to make a good product between Japan and us. Japan is hiring you because you're talented at what you can do. You're passionate about your product. You're gonna make a good product. Here it's, are you a woman? Are you black? Are you a person of color? You're hired. What's your writing credibility? Oh, I've written some fuck all stories on my ghetto Aces laptop I bought at Walmart at 2014. You're hired. Guys, you see the difference there? You see the problem there? One is getting hired because they actually have talent. They actually care about this stuff or creating good anime, whatever fantasy we just talked about. The other is just obviously what we call back in the day a poser. This person is just a lying self-insert and self-able person who is putting that in their characters, and they're hired just based off surface features. They're hired just based off that. They're not hired off talent. They aren't. We know this. They're not hired off any talent. Have you guys seen the Hog Girl writer now? That weirdo ain't hired for no talent. The fuck out of here. What the hell? No.
Features theology above all else. Talent, it's an afterthought.
Talent? Who needs that? That sounds trash. That's overrated. That thing called talent.
I asked you what your pronouns were, not what you knew about the topic.
And let's just get the last thing out, which is the whole gender and race swapping things. Guys, this is why I've always said, no, don't do it. First of all, if they just never did it, we wouldn't have this issue. I've never been a fan of it. I don't like it. There are cases where it works, but I would still always say don't do it because then you got to start making exceptions for everything else. I don't understand why the race and gender swapping still happens. This one's in comics. Nobody likes it. It's always met with this vitriol of hate from the good side. And that's a good thing. No. It should be met with that because it's stupid. No one wants to read. Maybe Moon Knight's going to be this way. I don't know. No one wants to read about a black female Moon Knight. Nobody. And I know you don't because you're not going to buy the books. So your opinion means nothing to me. I'm not buying that because I don't want to read that. Not interested. I like Moon Knight, but I'm not interested in that. Did anybody buy Val Zod books, actually? Does Miles Morales books sell? That's the big problem here.
Maybe a little after the movies. Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
Better example, Riri Wilson. How well accepted is
Riri Williams, right?
Whatever. Iron Heart.
Like, who wants to read that stuff?
Japanese porn, but the comic book character.
Yeah, nobody likes that stuff. They keep doing it, and they wonder why their core audience doesn't care what they do. And I just don't get, guys. There have been people of color in comic books since forever. You can try to say there hasn't been. That's just factually a lie. I mean, if Deadpool is literally pansexual, so if you want to use the concept of woke, okay, for a while, some titles have been woke. Cool. So why would I have to make them more woke then? If books have always been, I don't get it.
They try to put up the illusion that comic books were not inclusive.
Yeah, which we know is a lie.
It's never been true. I've been going to comic book stores since I was 9 years old. There have always been girls in the comic book store as customers. Were there as many or more girls than boys? Of course not. It's not how it works. But they were there, and including behind the scenes, working on it, everything else, and the characters. Oh, we're not inclusive. Storm is probably the most popular X-Man next to fucking Wolverine. Probably my favorite of the characters. Wolverine kind of stands on his own. He's
and you see the playing favorites that these people do with their characters, because by their logic, if you do that with a lot of them, do it for all of them. Now, let's use Sentry, for example. Sentry, I get it. Not a popular character. No one really liked them. Even in characters like that, don't switch them. No, just across the board. No, but he was never popular. I don't care if he was popular out of my left nutsack. I don't care. You start swapping, you have to make exceptions for everyone. Nobody's going to want to read a black Batman book.
You're not making the character. Casting Glenn from the Walking Dead Century. Here, we're not getting Century on screen.
Yeah, and this is one of the last things I'll bring up, which is, let's say they do want to do that. For the love of God, why can't you just create a new version of that character? I guarantee you, people are going to like it. And they shouldn't, because it's stupid. But you'll at least gain a little respect because you're creating something new. You're not tampering with a legacy character or a character that's been established for a minute. I promise, guys, listen to me here. If you just create new characters, you will gain more respect. They might be bad. Okay, cool. But I'll at least respect the attempt to create a new character. Why is that such a controversial take to create a new character? Why?
Not derivative, new.
Yeah, a character that's interesting. And I don't care about the sexuality, even if they're straight. No fucking straight person goes around bragging, hey, I'm a straight guy. I like to fuck women. No one does that. No one does that. It doesn't exist. It's just not something that anyone's interested in. So when a gay person does it, or any other of those interesting sexual orientations do it, it's going to be insufferable because that's their only personality trait. So someone asked me, you hate Jonathan Kent because he's gay. It's like, no, I like gay people. Anything else interesting about him? That's obviously he's not gay. Got anything else you got? Anything else he's cool about? No.
Well,
all right, not interested.
Interesting character before he was gay. Was he more well written? Did he have any other traits other than just being gay before he was gay? They can call him bi all day long. They've turned John Kent and Tim Drake gay. You think Tim Drake's ever going back to Stephanie Brown, his most interesting storyline that he ever had? No.
Then another problem with the industry, the very last thing I'll bring up here is the way that the indie people are looked at. The people, so they hate, and we know this from people like Gail Simone, Heather Ontos, or the lady at IDW, the trash bitch lady who thinks she's a writer or whatever. Okay, so indie people go, okay, I'm not getting what I want from here. I'll go do my own thing. You just kind of wonder. You go on social media. It's like World War III there on Twitter some days, where it's like, why is someone ever doing their own thing a bad thing? That's no industry functions like that. Anyone does their own thing, it's always looked at. You might fail, but I salute you for doing your own thing. You're gonna make your own plumbing company. Hey man, more power to you. We're wishing the best. That's not the way here. It's treated with disdain that you don't want to work for Prestige Marvel, Prestige DC, IDW, or fucking any of the other companies.
Because the people you just mentioned don't care about this shit. It's about pushing the ideology.
It's a social presence. It's about how good I can look on camera, what things I can say that sound good, but they just sound good to say. They don't actually care or mean any of the stuff they're actually saying. Right. So people on the indie side go, and that's the good point someone brought up yesterday, and I really agree with it. Why should they go and buy Marvel and DC books? Why should they care if they do well? Most of those people at those companies have told them they don't even like them. They hate them, hate their guts. No, I'm being honest with you guys. They shouldn't care. No, they're burned.
Either in person or on social media that they do hate.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Document. Hey, paying customer, go fuck yourself. I hate.
Yeah. Hey, go fuck yourself. You're an Islamic, homophobe, bigot, Nazi sympathizer, and I've always hated your guts, and I probably always hated your guts. I just only been now able to tell you that. Can you support my failing books? What happened to the customer is always right.
Shit, you fucker.
I don't get, yeah. So those are just like the big issues with the comic book industry that I've, me and Iron Oxide have mentioned throughout the video. Probably do another follow-up video covering the other things that we didn't get a chance to cover in this video. But there's so many issues just from just the base roots of comic books when they first started versus where we're at now versus like that middle part. I mean, people have mentioned, books are doing better than ever before. Guys, that's not true. Books are doing better than ever before, just not the ones you're thinking about. Manga accumulates for about, 80% of the sales? And then they try to take credit for that. That's literally not them. Did people not see those ICV2 scans or those book scans from 2022? The #1 bought book was Batman Year One, written by Frank Miller. That shit came out in 2007 or 2009 or some shit.
In what year? You look at the sales. What's selling? Stories
Omnibuses and trade paperbacks for stories in the past. Yeah.
Longer.
I wonder why the DC, you know, the last video we did, the DC Comics manga thing. I wonder why they're I wonder why they're basing a lot of these around our famous old past good stories. Because they're going like, remember when shit was good? Remember when you actually cared about this stuff?
Remember?
So yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say, man, before we head out of this video?
No, actually? Man, I'm looking forward to part 2. We'll pick up from where we left off, and I know there's a lot of, we've only scratched the surface actually. So we can probably do a 3-parter if you want to. I'm ready.
But I want to say this in the video is anybody in the indie space, like I understand these guys probably hate your guts and probably never liked you, but keep in mind, try to separate the art from the artist. Okay, you still have your amazing books you can go back and look to, but I do love and respect anyone that makes their own stuff. You know, even sometimes some of you guys are like dickheads on Twitter. Doesn't matter. I like and respect that. You know, you are doing your own thing. The mainstream big 2. Is there ways of salvaging them? There is. There's plenty of ways they could easily course correct. The problem here is this is always kind of treated as a loss leader. It just is. There's just more money you can make doing literally anything else but this. There's money to be made here. It's just the fact that they can't make money doing this anymore because they are trash. They're hacks. They're hiring hack writers, obviously. I'm not saying every title that's come out has been bad. There have been stuff that I have bought week to week and I have been interested in, namely stuff from a creator who's probably just a lunatic at this point. But there are good stuff out there. You just have to go look for it. There's indieplanet.com. I'll leave a link in the description box below. You can go buy from indie creators right now. It's print on demand. Now, the last thing to bring up is a lot of you guys kind of say you want to support indie people because how bad Marvel and DC are, but you never do. Okay, if you don't want to do it because you think they're going to be trash, that is more than perfectly fine. And that's fine. But don't be like them. Don't say things that sound good, only in reality for your actions never to show it, right? If you truly care about this stuff, I can definitely point you to places where you can buy indie people's stuff. They would love to have your business. Obviously, people have there's Rippaverse out there. There's even Kronk Comics. We just bought the Argoyle. There was that book I showed you guys on Indie Planet. Looked great. I bought issue #1 from Indie Planet. I just did. I'm gonna buy issue #2 very soon. There's plenty of other people. All right. There's plenty of other comic state people out there that put out some quality stuff. You know, just that alone. There you go. So I think that'll be a good avenue. No, I'm not saying you can't ever buy Marvel and DC stuff ever again. I buy my fair share of it. I bought a Marvel and DC book probably a few days ago, honestly. But you gotta understand, there's a lot to navigate here, and it's not just based off of what is presented to you. Because what they're gonna present to you is a image that's everything's all fine. That's that dog in the firehouse. This is fine. No, everything is not fine. Everything is not fine. And if you think everything's fine, you're getting lied to. You need to wake up. Just saying. But yeah, man. Anything else you wanted to mention before we head out of the video, actually?
No, just if you're new here and you're just checking out this video on randomly, you got to check out the live streams and subscribe to this man. We have a lot of fun, spicy conversation and a lot of very informative information on the industry. You might give it a try. You might enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm a store owner myself. I'm just talking from a customer of manga, comics. I've seen a lot of this stuff. The reason why I've never made videos about it consistently is because, guys, there's so much. There's just so much. That's why I admire people like Thinking Critical who can make videos about this every day. And there's other videos we're going to get to. The next one, I have that store owner's video, and we're going to go over it, and we're going to talk about it, actually. So, yeah, see you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm MSK, Master Swag King. We're signing out, guys. See